So it is Wednesday again. My name is Carlos Navia. I'm here for local bartending school. This is the Wednesday weekly learning session. We do this every Wednesday at 3 p.m. Pacific time, at 6 p.m. Eastern time. If you are a student already enrolled in local bartending school, there's one link you can go to that'll take you automatically into this class. You can ask me any questions about anything, anytime. If you are not an enrolled student, there's a separate link. They will ask you for a little bit of information and then give you the link to this class, and you're able to come to this class live. I've been a bartender for 20 plus years now in Florida, Tennessee, Arizona, Alabama, Florida. I even ran a bar in Mexico for a little while, which is where I met my wife, who lives with me here in San Luis Obispo, California, where I'm coming to you now from. Been teaching students for local bartending school for about 8 years now. Do a lot of one-on-ones. If you're in the classes, you might recognize me some of the videos they have as well in the online portion of the class. So we always like to talk about, something a little different every week. As far as, topics go. So it is May the 4th. May the 4th be with you. If you're a Star Wars nerd, you'll get that joke. It's Star Wars Day. So watch some Star Wars, have some fun. There's also a very cool post on Facebook of a Star Wars drink that looks like Yoda. Pretty simple to make. Actually looks delicious. The recipe itself does. So if you want to try that out, very cool thing to do and have some fun with that with May the 4th with Star Wars Day. But we've also got some other things coming up as well, which we'll get to kind of at the end of the class here. First thing I wanted to talk about today is just bar equipment. Kind of go through the equipment we use in the bar and the type of stuff you're going to see in the bar. So, we have our handy dandy mixing tin, which is, my couldn't live without my, favorite thing in the bar. I can do a lot of stuff with this. You have a little smaller one that looks like this too. That's nice. You can lock it in there to make drinks and shake drinks, which is very cool. The other thing you can do with a small one like this, or I have another one that's a little bit smaller, just like this. The other thing you can do with the small ones like this is if you're in a situation where you don't have glassware or you don't have another one to lock in there, these are really good for mixing drinks with a plastic cup. Beach bars, pool bars, by the lake, by the river, any place where you don't have glass. If I have a little one of these and a plastic cup like this, I can still shake a drink. I can still make a drink. Biggest thing there, please don't take this over, put it in the drink and pour it out this way. You don't have to do it like that. I've handled this and then I'm going to stick it into somebody's cocktail. All you have to do, give it a nice little shake, make a little gap in the front, and I can pour it out through that little gap in the front without sticking the back of this into someone's cocktail. That is one of my big pet peeves. Please don't ever do that. Put that off to the side. So we've got our mixing tins here. We've, of course, got our bar spoon here. And the bar spoon, as I drop it, bar spoon has this red nub on the end. The red nub is there because that's the end that's intended to go in and mix drinks. If you use the spoon part, it makes a scratching sound. And people will tell you they taste metal in the drinks. Now, there's no way for you to scratch metal off here with a spoon, but it's kind of a psychological thing. So that's what that's intended for. Also, if I'm mixing something in a clear glass or one of those nice glass mixing tins that are becoming popular now, this sounds better than this. Very simply. So that's what it's intended for. That being said, I watch a lot of Bar Rescue with John Taffer. I also like to watch the World Class Bartenders. They have a competition every year called World Class. Get the 50 best bartenders in the world to compete against each other. And I'll tell you what, it's 50-50 on the trainers on Bar Rescue and the world's 50 best bartenders. Half of them use this end and half of them use this end. So if you want to use the spoon end, you're more than welcome to do that. Adam Fournier, who won Best Bartender in the United States last year, and his final thing was mixing 2 drinks at one time while shaking another one in this hand, which was a very, very cool thing and a nice trick, which I thought was very awesome. So that's what the red nub is there for, and that's what's intended for on your bar spoon, which does bring up the question then, what is the spoon part for? Well, we do 2 things with the spoon part. Number one, we can use it for measurements. When I do my little demonstration here, you'll see that, anytime I put sugar in something, a bar spoon of sugar, a sugar packet, or a sugar cube is about the same amount, and it's about the right amount for one drink. So use it for measurements. The other thing we can use it for is to make layered shots. Different liquors have different densities, and if you pour them over the back of the spoon, you can layer them one on top of each other. Since I don't actually have liquor out here, it's just clear water. Can't really do that kind of demonstration right now. There's several things online you can watch on that, and I'm sure I will do it one day. Haven't actually done it yet here, but we'll try that one day coming up here. So we've got our bar spoon. We also have our handy dandy screen here. Just sets right into there. It's got a little nub up there for your first finger to hold it in place so that it doesn't fall out. Really simply just like that. And if I'm mixing a drink in here, stirring a drink in here, I can slap it right on that as well. Same thing, pour my cocktail out, same way, doing it just that way. So I'm gonna put this to the side. So we've got our screen. Now, what you might see, which is becoming popular right now, is a double screen. And I am going to show how this works a little bit here in just a second. So I have another screen like this. I pour it through both screens and it takes out any large material. If I'm using my mallet or my bat, something like this, or I also have a wood one here, it's more traditional, and I'm mashing stuff up and I've got the pieces mashed up in there. I want to be able to get them out of the drink and not have those pieces get into someone's drink. So very simply, I can put it through the double strainer and it won't all end up in the person's cocktail. Our bat down here. Now, other things I've got here, I have my squeezer, and we'll see this in just a minute too. You put fresh fruit in there, you squeeze it. Big trend now is handcrafted cocktails, which just simply means that we're not using pre-made mixes. We're just squeezing fresh juice, using fresh stuff there. So see how that works. I also have a handy dandy vegetable peeler here, which is used for, taking a twist right off of the side of a piece of fruit. Just pull it down the side and you take off a nice twist like that. This is becoming really popular doing it this way. We do the twist all the way around with the outside of the peel, squeeze it in there, drop it in, boom, we've got our twist right there. So you will see these vegetable peelers around a lot as well. And I do have my handy dandy tongs. Now, we should be using tongs to touch the fruit, take the fruit out for people. In California, it is technically law. You have to have a gloved hand or tongs to do it. Now, do people actually follow the law? Not necessarily. So, it is kind of one of those things that falls by the wayside, but you should have tongs. And especially if you have servers getting their own, garnishing their own cocktails, you don't want 5, 10, 15, 20 different people's hands going into that fruit tray. It's one thing for me, the bartender, I've got a sink back there, I'm washing my hands, but every server doesn't need to have their hands in there. So we should definitely have a tongs with our fruit tray. And if you're not familiar with what the fruit tray looks like, it is this piece of equipment right here. Got a lid to it, got the white containers that we put the fruit in. When you're loading the fruit tray, you want to make sure you get a clean white container to start with, put fresh fruit in there. The fruit from the day before looks okay, you put it on top, use it first. If the fruit from the day before is questionable, there is no question, get rid of it. Lemons and limes are really cheap. It doesn't cost a lot of money. It's a real turnoff to get a brown lime on a drink. It just makes me not want the cocktail at all. Also, when you're stocking the cherries and the olives, make sure that you're putting some juice in there with them. It helps keep the cherries and the olives from drying out. Not to mention, if I want to make a dirty martini that has a little bit of olive juice in there, bam, I can grab that little white container out, pour it into my mixing tin, make my dirty martini. I have olive juice right there, ready to go. The other guy that you might see, and I really need to get one of these for myself, is a salt ring like this. We have the sponge on top, salt in the first tray, sugar in the second tray. It says lime juice, but the lime juice that we're using to wet that sponge and make that sponge sticky is called Rose's lime juice. Rose is a brand name. They make this grenadine just like they make the Rose's lime juice. Some other companies do make it as well. It's referred to as sweetened lime juice. It's just basically a lime sugar syrup. So putting that lime sugar syrup on there makes that sponge sticky. I can put the rim of my glass down on the sponge, then into the salt or into the sugar and rim the glass that way. Please clean your salt ring. People just fold them up and put them away and don't wash them. And it does have sugar on that sponge and you will get fruit flies. Fruit flies will die underneath the sponge and you don't notice them until someone lifts the sponge up and sees it. And it's very, very disgusting. So if you're not using it a lot, just don't set it up. If you are using it, please wash it every day. It should be washed every day. You might also see some people put other things besides sugar in the bottom. I've worked at places that'll keep celery salt in there because they rim all their Bloody Marys with celery salt. They don't use a lot of sugar. So, that's typical as well. You might see that around as well. All right. And then the last couple of things I have here equipment wise. Oh, almost forgot. We got our speed pours, what we call a store in pour is the brand name for it. You know, you keep stuff like your juices. I have my fake sweet and sour mix in here in one of these mixers. They come apart in the middle. They have color coded caps that go on them as well. So that if I finish a bottle, I can take this apart, grab a new one, take the cap off, boom, wheel it back on, and I'm ready to go again with fresh juice. You know, the big thing with these is sometimes you'll notice they kind of chug like that. If they do start to chug, there's an old bar trick. I take a long straw, I put it down the big hole, and they pour lightning fast. And it's just a little trick to make them pour super fast, just causing another aeration hole in there. You know, in certain situations, in speed bars, like one of the places I worked at in Florida, that, you know, extremely busy bar, it's as fast as you can put drinks into plastic cups and take people's money. We would just start the day by setting all our bottles up with the straws in there. You know, we needed them to pour as fast as possible. It was just a thing to set them all up that way. And, you know, sometimes they'll fall inside. Hey, if that happens, have no fear. Grab another one, stick another one in there. You're ready to go again. You know, the straws should be sanitary. We're giving them to people to put in their mouths. And it's not uncommon for me to open one up when it's empty and, you know, find 3 or 4 straws hanging out in there, not an uncommon occurrence. So, you know, that's an easy way and a cool trick to make these storm pours or speed pours pour a little faster if they're kind of chugging on you and not going great. You know, you get stuff, Bloody Mary mix doesn't work great in them. Also, if you're using juice with pulp in it, it tends to clog up that aeration hole, which gives them that chugging. But that's an easy way to stop the chugging right there, boom, by putting that in there. 2 more things I want to talk about. These 2 things are, you know, all the rest of this equipment is stuff that bars, you know, should have readily available for you. Also forgot, you know, straw caddy. Fill it up with straws, fill it up with napkins. You might have cider tip jars that you put out there, depending on the type of establishment you work at. Some places will put tip jars out on the bar. Some places don't like to do that. You know, I've worked in both types, and I really don't think it makes that big of a difference how much tips you get. People are going to tip you anyway, even if there's not a jar right there. It just kind of depends on the type of place you're working, you know, and the environment you're working in. But these 2 things a bartender should always bring with them and have on them at all times. One is a wine key, bottle opener. So 2 things I always look for on a bottle opener that are important. Number 1 is sorry, train's going by. I hope you hear that. Number 1 is the screw, what they call the worm. You want to look for one that's not chrome. This has a black coating on it. This black coating is specifically designed to slide into a wine cork easier and less chance of tearing it up. It's not for aesthetics. So you want one with a coated worm with a coated screw. It'll make it a lot easier for you getting it into the cork and keep it from tearing up the cork. The other thing is a double hinge here. And what this allows you to do is reset and get leverage when you're pulling the cork out of the bottle. You know, you don't want to pull corks out with force. We never want to make a popping sound when we open a bottle of wine. 2 reasons for that. Number 1, it's a sign of a bad bottle. You know, through better techniques in how it's aged and how it's bottled, bad bottles are more rare nowadays than they had been. You know, 25 years ago, it's 1 in every 10 bottles was bad. Now it's probably closer to 1 in every 50 or 100, but you still get a bad bottle from time to time. You know, if bacteria gets into a bottle of wine, it ferments improperly, it'll cause carbonation, which will cause pressure behind the cork. So that's one reason we don't want to make a popping sound. The other thing is red wine, when it's exposed to air, changes flavor. They say the wine is allowed to breathe. So if I pull the wine cork out with force, what it does is shoot air back into the bottle, and they will say you bruised the bottle or bruised the wine, bruising the wine. And they'll say it changes the flavor of the whole bottle. Does it really? I don't know. I don't have that sophisticated of a wine palate. I can't really tell the difference. But, you know, if someone's ordering a very expensive $150, $200 bottle of wine, you don't want to open it with a popping sound and, you know, maybe destroy that bottle for them. So you have a double hinge, which allows you to reset, get extra leverage on the bottle, so you're able to pour the cork out softly and gently. The other thing the bartender always needs to have with them is a bottle opener. And these are very popular. A lot of people like these ones. This is kind of the newer version of it that they're coming out with that does has a couple more features on it. Actually, I have the little small version of it as well. It's just one I used to use that I like a lot. These ones are excellent because you can hit it with either side and it takes the bottle cap off because it's the same on either side. They also do a very good job of taking the bottle cap off in the terms of them being efficient and effective. I don't like these ones for one simple reason. If I put it in my pocket, it falls sideways and I can't get it out of my pocket. And it just looks like I'm over here scratching my bum. So I've tried a lot of different bottle openers in my day. I think the biggest thing is find one that's functional. If this hits and slips, you will catch your knuckles on the bottle cap and you'll cut your knuckles up. And then you have to wear a glove, and people call you Michael Jackson because you have on one glove, or maybe that's just me. So make sure it's effective. Make sure you can get the bottle cap off properly. Second thing is make sure you have it where it fits on your person somewhere comfortably where you can get to it fast. Okay, here's the thing. And the person tips me $1. That's the fastest money I can make right there in the bar. Open a beer, hand it to someone, and they tip me $1. So you want to make sure you have an effective opener that you can get to fast, because that's the fastest money we can make. I can open 2 beers and take someone's money before I can even get the glass out of the cooler to start a draft. Okay, so make sure you have a good opener. I've seen plenty of people have an armband, put it in there, brought it out, bam, bam, slide it back in. Cool, stick it in your belt, reach for it, grab it, bam, bam, stick it back in. I saw one guy who had a little, it was a keychain with a retractable cord clipped to his belt. So he pulled it out on a retractable cord, could open 2 bottles. And when he dropped it, it zipped back to his belt, which I thought was kind of cool. I've seen plenty of people just do this. Just leave it right there on the bar. I grab 2 bottles, I pick it up, I open them, I set it back down, and it's right there, easy to get to. So it's really about what is most comfortable with you, and what you're most comfortable with and what's going to be most efficient. And, look, even though I don't like these, honestly, that's how fast I can open. I did it last Cinco de Mayo. I'm not going to do it again this year because I don't feel like drinking beers today. But have an efficient opener that you can get to fast, that you can open bottles with fast. I've also worked in 2 different places that just had beer tubs, so that you didn't even have to open the cooler door to get to the beers. I could stick 2 hands in, grab 2 beers in each hand, go to a wall-mounted opener, 1, 2, 3, 4, boom. That's $15. Someone hands me a 20, usually says keep it. And that's how easy it is. So make sure you have a fast, efficient opener that you can get to easily and open bottles fast, because that is a very, very important part of being a bartender. So I did open a bottle last Cinco de Mayo just to show how fast I could do it, show off. I'm not going to do that today. Going to do something a little different. So today is May the 4th be with you. Tomorrow is Cinco de Mayo, which is not Mexican Independence Day. That is a misconception. Mexican Independence Day is September 16th. Okay. Cinco de Mayo is the celebration of the Battle of Puebla, when the Mexicans fought off the attacking French army, Napoleon's army, coming in, trying to invade and take over Mexico, which happened in 1862. Not really a holiday that's celebrated in Mexico, but it is kind of an American thing. But it's become a day in the United States, and I live in California, as we call it here in North Mexico. They didn't cross the border crossed them. They were here first. So it's really become a day of just celebrating Mexican history and Mexican culture in the United States. So it is a good time. I was having a class yesterday with some of my neighbors. I do live by a large college, Cal Poly in San Luis Obispo. So most of my neighbors are college students. They actually came by letting us know they will be having a Cinco de Mayo party tomorrow, and hoping that they would not disturb us with their live music and bands. Very nice kids. They had a party a couple weeks ago. Cops shut it down. Feel bad that they got in any trouble, but very nice of them to actually come communicate to the neighbors that they're going to have a party. But that's what it's about. So, in the United States, it's really about that now. We're celebrating Mexican history. We're celebrating Mexican culture. And that's what it's going to be about tomorrow, having a good time. I was kind of looking. I get a lot of emails from different liquor companies and different things, and Tales of the Cocktail and other bar societies and stuff like that. So I happened to see one come across, and I thought this was awesome. So I definitely want to share this with you. So Jose Cuervo, not my favorite tequila, but I drank a lot in high school, so I can't wouldn't drink it now, but I drink a lot back in my day. Um, they're putting on a promotion for Cinco de Mayo tomorrow, called Tip It Forward. So part of what they're doing is for every dollar spent at vendors and cantinas, they're going to donate $1 to, if I can get there, if I can find where I put it, they're going to donate $1 to a fund called Another Round, Another Rally, up to $100,000. And Another Rally is a fund set up. It's an emergency fund to help people in the hospitality industry. Things can happen. You close down your bar, put you in a bad situation. We were dealing with a lot of this in COVID in the last 2 years, but it's more than just that. I lived in Florida when there was a Gulf oil spill, BP oil spill in 2010, which really hurt us there. And it would have been nice if there was something like this set up. We really didn't have much to help us, at that time. So it is nice that there's this fund set up, and there's something to help, bartenders and servers and hospitality employees in need in an emergency situation, no matter what that may be. So going out, spending money, buying some Jose Cuervo, just know that, every dollar of that's going to be matched and go to help that fund. But that's not all they're doing. No, they want to make sure that they're taking care of bartenders as well. So Tip It Forward is their promotion that they're calling it. And tomorrow, on Cinco de Mayo, you can put up these posters. If you go to Jose Cuervo, they actually have posters and table tents and different kind of advertisements that you can put up in the bar for people to check it out and be a part of the program. And here's what happens. If you scan that QR code there on the poster with your phone and you fill out a little form with your Venmo information, Jose Cuervo will Venmo you $10 to give an extra $10 tip to your bartender. And I think that that's a very cool thing for them to do. I'm hoping the money does go to the bartenders and not into people's pockets, because I'm not sure the exact details. I got to the form, but I did not fill out the form to have it Venmo to me because I don't have any Venmo. So I'm not sure the exact details of it, but very cool promotion. That a big company like that realizes how much the hospitality industry has been hurt, in the past 2 years by COVID, and wants to do something to try to give back to the bartender, give back to that frontline employee that they know has probably been hurt more than anyone by this pandemic and by this situation. So, if you're working at a bar or restaurant and you're going in tomorrow, see if maybe you can get some of these printed up by your boss to give to people and hand out to people. It takes nothing for them to get that extra $10 and give you an extra $10 tip, and, make it a good Cinco de Mayo for bartenders out there that are going to be slinging a lot of drinks and having a lot of good times. It is kind of one of those nights, a little bit of a rookie night, like St. Patrick's Day and New Year's Eve, where people will go out that don't necessarily go out and drink very often. So you do kind of got to keep an eye on people and make sure that, that people are being responsible. But of course, it's Cinco de Mayo. And of course, people are going to drink margaritas. So let's talk about margaritas and do a traditional margarita. So I was always taught that margaritas originated in Ensenada, Mexico, at a place called Husong's Cantina. And I might actually have a picture of here. I'll show this picture. And there are different stories where it began. This is the one I was always told, and where I've actually been to on, let's call it a pilgrimage, to Husong's in Ensenada, the home of the margarita, named after a girl margarita that he was pining after, that the bartender was pining after. So the original recipe, the original Husong's recipe, is very simple and not necessarily the way we traditionally make them in the United States today. So if I'm going to grab a rocks glass here, and I'm going to give this a nice little shake too. So I've got my mixing tin, got my ice over here. I'm going to throw a couple cubes in the mixing tin, not too many. Don't want to fill it up too much. All right, so traditional recipe simply calls for tequila, orange liqueur, and fresh lime juice. So Got my jigger here. I've got some yellow water here that resembles tequila. We're going to do 1.5 ounces of our tequila in here. There we go. And then we need some orange liqueur, like some triple sec, or I have some faux Cointreau here. I'm just going to do about 3/4 ounce. So it's about a 2-to-1 ratio of our orange liqueur there. Then we need some fresh lime juice. So I've got some fresh limes here. And when you're cutting, lemons and limes in half, to put them in a squeezer like that, it's nice to kind of take these little tips off of the end here. And I'll show you why. So grab my squeezer. So when I go put this into the squeezer, if it's still got that little tip on it, sometimes this round part catches that tip, folds the piece of fruit in half, and you don't get a good squeeze. If I've got it trimmed off there, I've got a nice flat surface for it to come down on. Give me a nice squeeze through there and give me my fresh juice. We're going to get some nice fresh lime juice in there. Ends off. Do 2 whole limes, 2 ounces of fresh lime juice in there. Out here. Orange here. All right. So I've got my lime juice. I've got my orange liqueur. I've got my tequila in there. We'll lock this in there, give it a nice shake. That nice and mixed up and chilled out. Top this off like that. And then I'm going to take a fresh glass here. And we're going to put a little salt on this plate since I don't have a real salt ring. And it's just a little trick I used to do doing a lot of banquets in areas where I didn't have a salt ring available. Just take a little plate, put some salt in there. I can take a piece of lime, put it around the rim of the glass. Get my nice salted rim. Come in with some fresh ice. There we go. And we'll stir in our margarita over a nice fresh glass of ice. Put a little bit more in there. Beautiful. We're out there. There we go. Nice straw in there. Give it a nice little piece of lime there to garnish. And we have our traditional margarita made the traditional way with just lime juice, orange liqueur, and tequila. So we'll put our margarita off to the side there. Now, the way we usually do it in the United States is, once again, we're going to do our tequila, we're going to do our triple sec or our orange liqueur, but then we also use some bar sweetened sour mix. So instead of doing one on the rocks, because I've already done that right here, what I'm going to do, something you don't see a lot, but we're going to make a margarita up in a martini glass. So first thing I got to do, since it's not cold already, is I got to chill my martini glass. So we'll grab a little ice, we'll grab a little water in there. And we're going to set that off to the side, let it chill while we're making our cocktail here. So once again, we're going to throw some ice in here. We're going to start with our little ice in here. And we're going to start with our tequila once again, and we're going to do our 1.5 ounces here of tequila into our mixing tin. But instead of using Cointreau or triple sec or orange liqueur this time, just to give it a little spin here, we're going to do 3/4 of blue curacao. And we're going to make it a nice blue margarita. Then we also want to use some of our sweet and sour mix, since I am making it like an American style margarita. I'm just put a little bit in there like that. We'll touch more. And lock our glass into place once again. Did I break it? I hope not. Get that nice and shake it up in there and chilled out. Shakes. Yeah. Throw the water out of our glass here. Once again, I'm just going to use a lime here Let's give it a nice rim. So we can put it in our salt. There we go. Get a nice salted rim there. And we'll strain it out. There we go. And what we have is our nice blue margarita. I will give it a nice little lime wheel garnish here as well. On the side. There we go. So nice little spin. Fun way to do a margarita up. Also give it some blue color. Just something a little different, that a lot of people haven't seen before. So that's a nice one there. That's a fun one. Clean some of my salt up. Put this guy off to the side. So, you can have some fun with margaritas. You can put some fresh fruit in them. If you're doing on the rocks margaritas with, and using like a puree, usually used for daiquiris in the bar, go easy on it. That stuff is very powerful. It's very strong. It's made to be, diluted with a lot of ice and alcohol. So you only need a little bit. But the other thing that's becoming big right now, you can do some Midori in it, make a melon margarita, but putting spicy stuff in. So muddling some serrano chilies or some jalapenos or something like that in there before making the margarita, shaking it up and straining it out. That's becoming a big thing now, putting some heat in there. The other way to get some heat in a margarita would be just to infuse it into the tequila. Cut a jalapeno in half and drop it in a bottle of Patron and leave it for a week. In a week, you're going to have jalapeno tequila, and that can act as your heat. Or, you can do a little bit of both, depending on how you want to spice it up. But spicy margaritas have become a big thing now and very popular, especially where I live, in California, where there's a lot of Latinos and a lot of spicy things becoming very popular. But besides just margaritas, there's another Mexican drink that's become very, very popular called Paloma. And it's very simple to do, very easy to do. Now, Paloma should be made with grapefruit soda, which I know not everybody in the country is familiar with. It is, once again, very popular in California, very popular where I live. Latinos love grapefruit soda. This is Squirt. It's grapefruit soda. Very popular here, once again. I like it. I think it's good. Here's the thing now. Paloma is just tequila, grapefruit soda, fresh lime juice. However, most bars don't have Squirt. It's not something that's that popular in a lot of places. And it's not something that's usually stocked in a bar. So we don't have any Squirt. How can we still make a Paloma? Well, very easily, even though I don't have Squirt, I still have, grapefruit juice. I have sugar, I have simple syrup, and I have soda water. Combination of those three is basically making your own grapefruit soda. So if I want to do a Paloma, grab my glass, fill it always to the top with ice. And I go ahead and do my 1.5 ounces of my tequila. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Dump that in there. All right, so then we got to make our grapefruit soda. So first ingredient, grapefruit juice. Just like that. Next thing we're going to need is some simple syrup. So I'm just going to put, about a 1/2 ounce of simple syrup in here. And that's going to sweeten it up. So we're going to add some sugar in there now. Now I also need some fresh lime juice to do our Paloma. So I'm going to squeeze a couple limes in here. So we have our fresh lime juice. And then we simply need some club soda. And we have, in essence, made ourselves some grapefruit soda, just like that. Let's give a nice, God, is a helicopter coming. And straw in there, just like that. And we'll give it a nice lime wheel to garnish it as well. And there we go. We have our Paloma made without Squirt, made without grapefruit soda. Still going to work, still going to taste delicious, still really easy to do. So, happy Cinco de Mayo. Some Cinco de Mayo cocktail ideas, some Cinco de Mayo cocktail drinks for you to enjoy or make at your bar. But It's not just Cinco de Mayo this week. We have so much going on. It's May the 4th. We have Cinco de Mayo. This Saturday is also the Kentucky Derby. Yes. Horse racing is a very cool sporting event. I got into it a little bit when I lived in Florida. Some of the people that hang out at my bar owned horses and were very much into horse racing. So it was a cool thing to do. Not a huge fan, but Kentucky Derby is one of the few, sporting events that has its own cocktail associated with it, and a specific cocktail just for that day and just for that race. And it is, of course, the mint julep. Now, mint julep goes back a long time. Back to the 1800s, bartenders in the South have been making mint juleps for patrons, combining sugar, mint, and brandy or bourbon or different kinds of things. They can make a julep out of anything. Now traditionally we're going to do it with whiskey. So we're going to make our mint julep. I'm going to go ahead, just do it in a pint glass to get myself started here, get myself mixing stuff up. Now, first thing we need for mint julep, sugar. So once again, a bar spoon of sugar packet, sugar cube, all about the same amount, all about the right amount for one cocktail. So I've got my sugar in there. The other thing I'm going to need is whiskey. So I'm going to go ahead and put my whiskey in here, and I'm going to do 2.5 ounces. I'm putting the whiskey in here with no ice because I just want to start to get this sugar dissolving. I want the sugar to dissolve a little bit into the whiskey and kind of break down so that I don't have crystallized sugar in my drink. So that it is dissolving and it is melting in there just like that. Now, of course, the other thing we're going to need for a mint julep here is some mint. So I have some mint here from my garden, and I'm going to pick off, I don't know, about 7-8 leaves maybe to put in here into my julep. More here. And you can muddle them up in there, or you can do this little number, put them in your hand. All we're doing there, try not to snake them, stick and drop them. All you're doing there is breaking up pockets of oil in the mint, letting out that essence of mint in there. So again, the clap, I've opened up the mint oil in there, the essence of it. I've got my bourbon, I've got my sugar. Now I'm ready to go ahead and get my ice in here and chill it and give it a little bit of dilution. That in place. I'll just get a nice around the state. I mixed up in there nice. All right. Grab our bucket glass and give it some fresh ice. And we're gonna do a double strain because I know some of those pieces of mint might have gotten broke up in there. Some might get past my first screen here. So we'll give it a double screen, make sure that none of those pieces get into the end result cocktail. A little bit of shake, a little more will come out. If you are using a double strainer, please don't take the butt of this and stick it down in there. Once again, I've been handling this. This should not go in someone's drink. If you need to get it through, you can tap it through a little bit. If you really want to press it through, grab your clean bar spoon and squeeze it through, or grab your clean muddle and squeeze it through. Please don't use the butt of the mixing tin like I see people do on videos all the time. So I've strained it out, got no large materials in there. So, of course, I need a little sprig of mint to garnish it here. And if I just kind of smack it, if I hit it on the rim of the glass, once again, I'll break up those little pockets of oil, thus releasing that mint essence. So I can give it a little smack on the side of the glass. I've seen people do it on their hand. The less I can handle, someone's garnish, the less I can touch it, the better. So I can just give it a little slap on the side of the glass to open it up, set my mint sprig in there on top nicely, give it a nice little short straw here, and a napkin, of course, always. And we have our mint julep ready to go for the Kentucky Derby. So got some, got a great Star Wars idea on Facebook. If you go and look at the Baby Yoda drink, and we've got some Cinco de Mayo, ideas here with a couple different kinds of margaritas, as well as our Paloma. And we have our traditional mint julep ready to go for Saturday's race in the Kentucky Derby. So thank you very much for watching. I will be back next week when I think we'll be talking about glassware will be the topic. Then we'll also talk about another classic cocktail, a little bit about the history and how to make another classic cocktail. So thank you very much. Have a great week, and I'll see you next Wednesday.